In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NBA games happening on March 22, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Brooklyn Nets versus Indiana Pacers. The NBA is set to showcase an Eastern Conference showdown on Saturday as the Brooklyn Nets, sitting at a struggling 23-47 record, go up against the Indiana Pacers, who are firmly in playoff contention with a 40-29 mark. These two teams are quite familiar with each other, having just faced off on Thursday in a game that stretched into overtime before Indiana ultimately secured the victory. The Pacers currently hold the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, while the Nets are well outside the playoff picture, hoping to salvage something from the remainder of their season. While the standings suggest a mismatch, Brooklyn has been much better against the spread this year, which could make this game more competitive than expected. Brooklyn will once again be without D'Angelo Russell, as he has been ruled out for this matchup. Meanwhile, Zaire Williams is listed as questionable, leaving the Nets with some uncertainty regarding their lineup. On the other side, Indiana has its own injury concerns, particularly with Tyrese Halliburton, who is questionable due to a back issue. He plays a crucial role in orchestrating the Pacers' offense, and his availability could have a big impact on this game. Thursday's meeting between these teams was a tightly contested battle that saw the Nets push Indiana to the brink, ultimately falling 105-99 in overtime. The betting line for that game had Brooklyn as 7.5-point underdogs, but for this Saturday rematch, the spread has widened to plus 9.5. This increase is likely due to Williams being uncertain to play, though the Pacers' own injury situation with Halliburton shouldn't be overlooked. Brooklyn's biggest strength this season has been on the defensive end, where they rank as the 10th best scoring defense in the league. They also have an impressive track record against the spread when playing as road underdogs, holding a solid 22-14-1 record in such situations. Indiana, on the other hand, is a high-scoring team, ranking 7th in offensive production. However, their defense has been shaky, ranking 19th in points allowed, meaning they can sometimes give up easy buckets and struggle to pull away from opponents. Despite their ability to put points on the board, the Pacers don't consistently dominate games from start to finish. That inconsistency is reflected in their record against the spread as favorites, where they are just 17-23-2, and their home performance isn't much better at 15-15-2. With those factors in mind, backing the Pacers to win by a big margin doesn't seem particularly appealing, especially given that Halliburton's status remains uncertain. While Indiana has gone 5-1 straight up over their last 6 games, they're only 5-4 in their last 9, and only one of those wins, a 112-100 victory over Philadelphia, was by double digits. As our first pick for this matchup, the Brooklyn Nets to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. One of the most significant issues plaguing Brooklyn this season has been their lackluster offensive production. The Nets rank a dismal 27th in offensive efficiency, managing only 106 points per 100 possessions. Their recent struggles have been particularly glaring, as they've failed to reach 100 points in back-to-back games. Over their last 14 contests, where they've gone just 2-12, they've averaged only 107.5 points per game. Head coach Jordi Fernandez seems to recognize this offensive shortcoming, which is why he prefers to have his team play at a very slow pace, limiting possessions and trying to control the tempo of the game. The Nets currently rank dead last in pace, averaging only 97.9 possessions per game. Indiana operates at a more moderate tempo, ranking 15th in the league with 101.4 possessions per game. Factoring in the uncertainty surrounding Halliburton's availability, this game doesn't project to be a high-scoring affair. Brooklyn has consistently been involved in lower-scoring games this season, as evidenced by the fact that the underdog under has hit in 40 of their 70 games so far. That trend continues when they're playing as an underdog, and especially when they're on the road. Indiana has also seen the under hit frequently in specific scenarios, including after a win, where the under is 22-17. Given Brooklyn's ranking as the second worst scoring team in the league, combined with injuries to key players like Cam Thomas and D'Angelo Russell, their offense is expected to struggle once again. However, their defensive intensity could keep them competitive, forcing a low-scoring game where points come at a premium. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Golden State Warriors versus Atlanta Hawks. This Saturday, the Golden State Warriors are heading to Atlanta to take on the Hawks at State Farm Arena. This marks the second time these two squads will clash this season. The Warriors made easy work of the Hawks in their last meeting, securing a dominant 120-97 victory on November 20th. However, if we look at recent history, Atlanta has held the upper hand, winning 6 of the last 10 matchups straight up and covering the spread in 7 of those games. The over has hit in 6 of those 10 games, which suggests that high-scoring affairs aren't uncommon when these teams meet. Golden State will have to navigate this game without their biggest star, as Stephen Curry has been ruled out. Additionally, Gary Payton II's status remains up in the air, as he is listed as questionable. On the other side, the Hawks will also be missing some key pieces, as Clint Capela and Larry Nance Jr. have both been ruled out once again. Despite their injury concerns, the Warriors have been one of the hottest teams in the league as of late. However, playing without Curry is going to test their depth and resilience. Meanwhile, the Hawks have been playing solid basketball in recent weeks, even while dealing with injuries. One advantage they have in this matchup is that they haven't played since Tuesday, meaning they'll come into this contest well-rested and ready to go. Atlanta being a home underdog in this game makes for an interesting scenario, especially considering that they've had 4 days off to recover and prepare. With the Hawks trying to hold on to the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, there's no doubt they'll be highly motivated to put together a strong performance. On the other hand, the Warriors will be forced to figure out how to generate offense without Curry, which is always a significant challenge. Even so, Golden State has been rolling ever since acquiring Jimmy Butler, and that momentum shouldn't be ignored. They've managed to win 9 of their last 10 games, proving they can handle adversity. The Hawks have been playing better lately, but they are still 3 games below the .500 mark and have struggled to cover the spread consistently this season, sitting at 33-36 against the spread. Atlanta's home record is just as unconvincing, sitting at an even 17-17 straight up. This is a team that has a habit of dropping games they should win. Even without Curry, the Warriors should be able to handle business. As our first pick for this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Both teams in this matchup have no issues getting shots up, as they both rank within the top 6 in the league in field goal attempts per game. Each team typically takes over 90 shots per contest, meaning this game should have plenty of action. While the Warriors rank just 18th in the league in total scoring, they remain one of the top 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. With one of the greatest shooters of all time on their roster, they are always capable of catching fire from deep. They have also done an excellent job of integrating more players into their rotation, which has contributed to their recent success. Over their last 10 games, the Warriors have scored at least 115 points in 6 of them. Atlanta, on the other hand, is one of the league's best offensive teams and has been playing even better than usual on that end recently. In their last 9 games, they have scored at least 120 points in 7 of them, consistently exceeding their season average. The Hawks don't mind letting their defense take a backseat if it means getting their offense into a rhythm. This tendency has led to plenty of high-scoring matchups when these teams meet. In fact, the over has hit in 5 of the last 7 meetings between the Warriors and Hawks. Beyond that, Atlanta's games against Western Conference opponents have gone over the total in 16 of 25 matchups this season. The Hawks play at the second fastest pace in the entire NBA, and with a relatively healthy roster, they'll look to push the tempo from the opening tip. Even with Curry out, the Warriors won't shy away from a track meet. I expect this to be a fast-paced, high-scoring game with both sides looking to outgun the other. Trae Young has been on a tear, scoring at least 28 points in 5 of his last 7 games, and he'll be eager to put on a show in front of the home crowd. On the other end, Jimmy Butler will be looking to step up in Curry's absence, which should lead to an exciting, competitive battle between 2 talented scorers. Given the circumstances, this game has all the makings of a shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards versus New York Knicks. This Saturday night, two Eastern Conference teams square off on the hardwood in New York City as the Washington Wizards take on the New York Knicks. Both teams are looking to bounce back from recent losses, making this an interesting matchup. Washington is coming off a tough 120-105 loss at home against Orlando on Friday night, failing to cover the spread as an 8.5-point underdog. Playing on back-to-back nights can be exhausting, and the Wizards will need to find their legs quickly. Meanwhile, the Knicks are also looking to rebound after a 115-98 road loss to Charlotte on Thursday, where they lost outright despite being favored by 7.5 points. The history between these two teams heavily favors New York, as they lead the all-time regular season series 185-136 and have dominated recent meetings, winning the last 8 matchups. Their most recent showdown was a blowout as well, with the Knicks securing a 126-106 win in Washington on December 30, 2024. In terms of injuries, the Wizards will once again be without Marcus Smart, Corey Kispert, and Bilal Coulibaly, which limits their depth and playmaking ability. On the Knicks side, Jalen Brunson remains sidelined, and Miles McBride is questionable due to a groin strain. Given how shorthanded Washington is and how dominant the Knicks have been in head-to-head matchups this season, it makes sense that New York opened as a heavy favorite. The problem is, the Knicks have hit a rough patch lately. Earlier in the season, Washington was at least showing flashes of competitiveness, occasionally pulling off surprising wins as big underdogs. However, that momentum has faded. They've now dropped 5 of their last 7 games and failed to cover in 7 of their last 10. Playing their second game in 2 nights only adds to the challenge. That being said, the Knicks haven't exactly been reliable either. They've suffered some ugly losses recently and are still dealing with injuries that have hurt their consistency. New York has struggled when expected to win big, failing to cover in 5 of their last 8 games as a double-digit favorite. Even more concerning, 2 of those failed covers resulted in outright losses. Historically, the Knicks rarely find themselves in this position, as this marks just the 4th time since 2001 that they have been favored by 15 or more points. Oddsmakers keep setting these huge spreads, but the Knicks' recent losses to the Spurs and Hornets make it hard to trust them to win by a massive margin. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington Wizards to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Over the last 10 games, Washington has averaged 111 points per game, slightly above their season average by 2 points. They play at a fast pace, ranking 4th in the NBA in tempo with 101.3 possessions per game. However, their offensive efficiency has been the worst in the league, meaning they struggle to convert those possessions into points. This issue becomes even more pronounced in back-to-back situations when fatigue sets in. The Knicks, on the other hand, have been putting up 108 points per game over their last 10 outings while allowing 109 points per game in that same stretch. They play at a much slower pace, ranking 26th in the league with only 97 possessions per game, but they are much more efficient offensively, ranking 5th overall. Even though New York is typically solid on offense, they are currently without their top scorer, which significantly impacts their ability to put up points. When these teams meet, the games tend to be on the lower scoring side. The under has hit in 6 of their last 10 matchups. For Washington, the under has gone 5-5 in their last 10 games, with their road games averaging just 109 points per game over their last 8 contests. Meanwhile, for New York, the under has hit in 7 of their last 10 games, and they have only given up more than 115 points once during that stretch. With the Knicks struggling without Brunson and the Wizards prone to sluggish offensive performances in the second game of back-to-backs, this game has all the makings of a low-scoring affair. Points may be hard to come by, making the under an appealing play in this one. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Milwaukee Bucks versus Sacramento Kings. The Milwaukee Bucks are set to take on the Sacramento Kings at Golden One Center in Sacramento, California, on Saturday night in what should be an interesting cross-conference matchup. Both teams are looking to bounce back from recent struggles and find some momentum as the regular season continues. This game will mark the second and final meeting between these two teams in the regular season. Back in January, the Bucks had no trouble handling the Kings, cruising to a 130-115 victory at home. They easily covered the 2.5-point spread at Pfizer Forum, making it a convincing win. Both teams are dealing with key injuries that could shape the way this game unfolds. The Bucks remain without star guard Damian Lillard, while the Kings are still missing big man Domantas Sabonis due to injury. These absences leave each team somewhat shorthanded and force them to lean more heavily on their remaining stars. Milwaukee has been up and down recently, and without Lillard, their inconsistency has been even more apparent. That said, they're coming off a dominant performance against the Lakers, which should give them some confidence. However, it's worth noting that Los Angeles was missing several of its key players, so that victory might not hold as much weight as it seems on the surface. On the other side, the Kings have also been dealing with their fair share of struggles. In their last game, they suffered a brutal loss where they somehow managed to squander a 19-point lead. That kind of collapse makes it hard to fully trust them, but the Bucks haven't been the most reliable team either. So, heading into this matchup, neither side feels like a surefire pick. One thing in Milwaukee's favor is that they still have the best player on the court in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and historically, they've dominated this matchup. The Bucks have won 9 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams, which is tough to ignore. If you're looking for a reason to back Milwaukee, that history certainly helps. However, their inconsistency, road struggles, and recent team meeting to address concerns all suggest they're far from a safe bet. They've already lost 18 times on the road this season. Meanwhile, the Kings, despite their recent slump, are playing at home and are desperate for a win to avoid sliding further down the standings. They don't want to keep losing and risk the Suns overtaking them in the play-in race. The Bucks easily handled the Kings in their previous meeting, winning 130-115 back on January 14th. However, circumstances are different now, and Sacramento has a solid opportunity to get revenge. As our first pick for this matchup, the Sacramento Kings money line is our full game side pick. Offensively, the Kings have been a mess, especially when it comes to guarding the perimeter. Right now, they rank dead last in the NBA in opponent three-point percentage, allowing teams to shoot 38.4% from beyond the arc. They also struggle with fouling, ranking 22nd in free throws allowed per 100 possessions at 22.7. These issues could be a major problem against a Milwaukee squad that is capable of lighting it up from deep. When it comes to pace, the Kings are playing at a moderate speed, ranking 17th in the league with 98.7 possessions per 48 minutes. The Bucks, on the other hand, push the tempo a little more, ranking 11th with 99.7 possessions per 48 minutes. This should create plenty of opportunities for scoring on both ends. The Bucks should be able to find plenty of open looks from 3 in this one. Milwaukee ranks 3rd in the NBA in three-point shooting percentage, hitting 38.2% of their attempts from deep. Meanwhile, the Kings are an above-average offensive team, and their recent games have been high-scoring affairs. 7 of their last 8 contests have gone over the total. Both teams have strong offenses, and that should lead to plenty of points being scored. The Kings' defense has been shaky, which will only add to the scoring potential in this game. Sacramento has also been one of the better teams at hitting the over this season, with a record of 38-29-2 in that category. Their pace is currently at 100.4, and their offensive efficiency ranks 9th in the league. Milwaukee's offensive efficiency sits at 13th, but they play at an even faster pace of 101.1. Given all of this, we should expect a fast game with plenty of scoring opportunities. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Chicago Bulls versus Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers will welcome the Chicago Bulls to Crypto.com Arena for what should be an intriguing matchup between two teams looking to build momentum. This will mark the first time these squads face each other this season. Last year, they split their 2-game series, with each team successfully defending home court. That history adds an interesting wrinkle to this meeting, as both sides will be eager to set the tone for this year's encounters. Chicago is still dealing with some key absences, most notably Lonzo Ball, who remains out indefinitely. Additionally, Josh Giddey's status is up in the air as he is currently listed as day-to-day. Meanwhile, the Lakers are monitoring the availability of LeBron James and Rui Hachimura. If both players can suit up, Los Angeles will be significantly closer to full strength. Regardless of whether LeBron and Rui return, the Bulls have been playing at a high level recently and could still challenge the Lakers, even if Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are both back in action for Los Angeles. One of the biggest reasons for Chicago's recent success has been the stellar play of Kobe White. The Bulls guard has been on a tear throughout the month of March, averaging 28 points and 5 rebounds per game. Offensively, Chicago has been clicking, scoring at a rate of 116 points per 100 possessions over its last 8 contests. On the defensive side, they have tightened up, allowing 110 points per 100 possessions in that same stretch. While the Bulls have stepped up on defense, they wouldn't mind if Doncic and Reeves remained on the sideline for this one, as stopping the Lakers' full-strength offense would be a much taller task. Odds makers have pushed the betting line in favor of the Lakers, likely due to the possibility of LeBron and Hachimura returning to the lineup. It's worth remembering that when fully healthy, the Lakers were one of the hottest teams in the league just a couple of weeks ago. That said, it might be wise to temper expectations. Chicago has been playing with real urgency and continues to push up the standings in pursuit of a play-in tournament spot. The Bulls have also been a strong bet lately, covering the spread in 7 of their last 8 games. On the other hand, the Lakers have struggled when expected to dominate, going just 5-9 against the spread in their last 14 games as favorites of 8 or more points. 2 of those failed covers were outright losses suffered last month. Given these trends, the current line appears to be a bit of an overreaction to the Lakers' injury news. As our first pick for this matchup, the Chicago Bulls to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Stylistically, this game presents an interesting contrast. Chicago likes to play fast, ranking among the top teams in pace, while Los Angeles operates at a much slower tempo, sitting near the bottom 5 in that category. However, the Lakers have been susceptible in transition and are coming off a game where they struggled with turnovers. Meanwhile, the Bulls have been inconsistent in the paint, particularly when it comes to securing defensive rebounds and preventing second-chance opportunities. Although Chicago's defense has shown improvement in recent weeks, their overall approach still leans toward an up-tempo game. They currently rank 3rd in the league in pace, averaging 102.8 possessions per 48 minutes. The Bulls also take a high volume of three-pointers, sitting 3rd in the NBA in three-point attempt rate. From beyond the arc, they've been efficient, knocking down 36.4% of their shots, good for 12th in the league. Defensively, they've done a solid job limiting opponents from deep, ranking 2nd in opposing three-point percentage at 34.2%. However, their interior defense remains a glaring weakness as they rank 25th in the league in opponent two-point percentage, allowing a high 56.0% conversion rate inside the arc. Given these dynamics, expect Los Angeles to exploit Chicago's struggles in the paint while the Bulls look to push the pace and take advantage of fast break opportunities. With both teams having clear avenues to scoring, this game has the potential to turn into a high-scoring affair. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.